Welcome to Stakeholder Analysis, a practical skill for understanding the people and groups who can influence a business or be affected by its decisions. In this presentation, I'll focus on three essential questions. Who matters, why they matter, and how their interests and level of power should shape our approach. Effective stakeholder analysis helps us anticipate concerns, build stronger relationships, and make better informed decisions. It's a core capability for navigating business environments and managing competing priorities with confidence. A stakeholder is anyone with an interest in a business, or anyone affected by what that business does and achieves. Stakeholders are not limited to people who work inside the organization. Internal stakeholders include employees, managers, owners, and shareholders who help operate the business or have a direct financial connection to it. External stakeholders include customers, suppliers, creditors, regulators, and surrounding communities. Their interests may differ, but each can influence the organization or experience the consequences of its decisions and outcomes. Stakeholder analysis matters because it helps us understand who can influence an initiative, what they need, and where tensions may emerge. The goal is to act before problems become expensive or difficult to reverse. We can identify competing interests early, then direct communication, and engagement toward the people and issues that matter most. This also helps us address potential opposition from influential stakeholders before it escalates. Finally, by creating shared goals, we strengthen alignment, improve the quality of decisions, and increase the likelihood of successful project outcomes. The stakeholder analysis process follows a structured four-step approach. Identify, assess, evaluate, and engage. First, I identify the stakeholders connected to the work. Then, I assess their relevance and potential impact before evaluating what their needs and priorities may mean for the overall effort. Finally, I engage each stakeholder in a way that reflects what we've learned. The key benefit is structure. It helps ensure no critical stakeholder is overlooked and makes engagement strategies more targeted and effective. Step 1 is identifying your stakeholders. The key is to cast a wide net rather than focusing only on the people inside your organization. Include anyone who can affect or be affected by the decision. That may include financial stakeholders, such as investors and creditors, operational stakeholders, including employees, suppliers, and partners, and market stakeholders like customers and competitors. Also consider regulators, industry bodies, local communities, nonprofit organizations, and the media. A broad view now helps prevent important perspectives from being missed later. Step 2 is understanding stakeholder interests. Each group evaluates decisions through a different lens, and misreading those interests can lead to misaligned strategies. Shareholders typically focus on profitability, return on investment, long-term firm value, and dividend growth. Employees look for job security, fair compensation, development opportunities, and a safe workplace. Customers prioritize quality, fair prices, reliability, and responsive service. Regulators emphasize legal compliance, ethical behavior, consumer protection, and environmental responsibility. Effective strategy recognizes these differences and works to address them together. Step 3 focuses on evaluating stakeholder power, meaning the ability to influence business decisions or outcomes. Power rarely comes from just one source. Economic power comes from control over capital, contracts, or purchasing decisions, as we might see with major investors or key clients. Legal and regulatory power comes from the authority to impose rules, fines, or operating restrictions. Finally, reputational power reflects the ability to shape public perception through media, advocacy, or social platforms. Identifying these sources helps us understand which stakeholders can most directly affect the organization. Step 3 introduces the Power Interest Grid, developed by Mendelow in 1991, which helps prioritize stakeholder engagement. It organizes stakeholders according to two dimensions: how much power they have and how interested they are. High power, high interest stakeholders should be managed closely because they are most critical. High power, low interest stakeholders should be kept satisfied without being overwhelmed. Low power, high interest stakeholders should be kept informed through proactive communication. Finally, low-power, low-interest stakeholders require minimal but still consistent attention. Step 4 focuses on developing engagement strategies that match each stakeholder's level of influence and involvement. The goal is to move beyond simply sharing information and create meaningful participation. Communicate by tailoring the message, frequency, and channel to stakeholder preferences. Consult key stakeholders during planning, so their input builds trust and reduces resistance. Collaborate with high-influence stakeholders to co-create solutions and strengthen ownership. Finally, empower critical stakeholders by giving them a meaningful role in governance or decision-making. Together, these approaches create stronger alignment and more durable support. Stakeholder interests often pull an organization in different directions, and effective management means balancing those tensions rather than automatically favoring the most powerful group. The goal is to make decisions that recognize competing needs and their consequences. For example, cost-cutting may increase shareholder returns while putting employees' job security at risk. Customers may seek lower prices, while regulators require expensive compliance measures. And business expansion can create growth opportunities while raising environmental or social concerns for the surrounding community. These conflicts require thoughtful judgment, transparency, and attention to long-term relationships. Effective stakeholder analysis follows 5 steps. Identify internal and external groups. Understand their distinct interests. Assess their economic, legal, and reputational power, and map priorities using the power interest grid. Then, engage deliberately, communicate, consult, collaborate, or empower as appropriate. This is an ongoing process, not a one-time exercise.